Vodkas and donuts, probably more than you guys will eat because you guys eat kind of like birds, to be honest. We buy so much food and there's always so much left over. It's kind of surprising, but also then again, maybe I just eat too much and that's a problem in and of itself. Alrighty, what am I looking for? Where is my HDMI cord? Did I plug it in? Yes, I did. All right. Now, don't want to give the game away. Input. All right. So yeah, better details to come, or a better slide to come. Details will probably remain the same. Any questions? How can you not? It was the perfect graphic. It displayed everything. Come on, HDMI 3. I know you want to work. There we go. There's the boot. 10 points to anyone who can guess whose shoe that is. You'll never get it. Uh-huh. Alrighty. Well, guys. Make sure everything's working. Oh, yeah. There we go. Trivia. I got a little bit of trivia. Now, I did say, I'm on record for having said, if you ever see me pull out trivia, you know I do not have anything to talk about. I'll make a caveat. We're not doing a full day of trivia. These are just some warm-up questions, get our brain going, get our bodies thinking. Yeah. So, first question. Who was known as the Weeping Prophet? There's only so many prophets, so you kind of have a decent chance at just guessing. Yeah, go for it. Correct. Yeah, I don't have anything for you. Just can clap for everyone. Which apostle wrote the book of Acts? Don't be bashful. Once again, kind of only a few limited amount to choose from. I think you're working with what, like maybe 15. You got the 12 disciples and like really like 3 other people that really contributed to anything. Not even all 12 disciples wrote a book to begin with. Like, wouldn't it be wild if there was a book of Judas though? That'd be like a bestseller. Be a New York Times. That would have to be a standalone book. Any guesses? Just throwing out. Arena? Peter? Ooh, close. Paul? Also close. Paul's mentioned a lot in it. So is Peter. Mark. We're getting closer by just process of elimination here. John? No. All right, we'll go with Luke on that one. What ancient city was Abraham from? Was that a hand raise? I saw a finger go up. I don't know if that was a finger raise or a hand raise. All right, no, obviously. Any guesses? It still exists. Still go there today. I don't know why you'd want to. It kind of got decimated in like 2003. But any takers? Just throw out a wild guess. You can say Beijing. You'd probably be wrong, but you could say it. Would not be too far away from this location. Technically, we're all close together. The Earth is very small relatively. All right. That answer is the city of Ur. Very old city. I think the oldest inhabited city, continuously inhabited city on Earth. So there you go. How many judges were there in the book of Judges? This one's got a finite number. Just throw out a number. You have a good chance of hitting it. I'll give you a hint. It's between 1 and 50. There's no bad answers. I mean, there's wrong answers for sure, because we are looking for a specific number, but there's no bad answers. 23. No. John Daniel. 30. Not quite. I'm just going to call on everyone to throw out a number. Ben. That's correct. 12. Yeah. There you go. Look, you guys should just try more. And last, I don't know why. I tried for the longest time. I spent an insane amount of time to get this to be in line with everything else, and nothing I did worked. In fact, it made it worse. It would like send it further over to the right. I tried just deleting everything and starting over. Anytime I got to 5, it just washed it all. But anyways, who was the eldest son of Jacob? Eldest. The firstborn. There you go. Way to go. It was 12. Yeah. There's 13 tribes, but only 12 sons. But yeah. All right. Enough trivia for the day. All right. So here we are. We're going to talk about this. Who wants to read this verse nice and loud for us? Who can read? Like, who has the physical ability to read is what I'm asking. Like, you can read. Go ahead.
Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the sons of God.
All right. Thank you. Yeah. Let's open up with a word of prayer, and then we'll dive more into this. Lord, please bless this time, bless this lesson. Lord, help it to be something that we can all apply to our lives and learn and just extract your wisdom from this word. Yeshua's name we pray. Amen. So, if you're curious, you can read through this chapter as a whole. It's the Sermon on the Mount. It's when, Yeshua is up on the mountain talking to some people, just straight vibing, I guess. And he's just saying things to kind of tell people like what's a good thing, what makes up a good believer, and specifically like if you don't even want to go that far, like in general, it's just good advice to how to be a decent person. Like I feel like anyone, whether they're a believer or not, could look at that as a secular standpoint and be like, yeah, these are reasonable things to expect from a person. So, but specifically, we're focusing on this one specific beatitude called Blessed are the Peacemakers. And why are we focusing on that? Well, because I want to. That's what it boils down to. I'm up here. I have the laptop. I make the decisions what we talk about. So it's called you guys don't have any say in that. Hey, Molly. Molly, you missed your duty. Your morning duty of taking the kids to the classroom. Classic Suzanne. All right. Sorry. All right, intro. What am I going to talk about? What am I going to ramble on here? Some of you guys might be familiar. When I do introductions, I kind of just ramble and loosely tie it into something and just how my brain works. And so what am I going to talk about? Well, I'm going to take you guys back to a year where maybe one of you was alive. No, none of you guys were alive. I'm going to take you back to the year 2003, which to me doesn't seem that long ago. You guys, I did the math in my head. Definitely none of them were alive in 2003. All right. This is weird. How many of you guys in school, in history, have covered the Iraq War? Wow, it's in history books. I was there when it was written. That's how I was watching it on Fox News and CNN while my mom was forcing me to watch that as opposed to something fun like cartoons. Yeah. But why am I going to talk about the Iraq War? Well, in the early 2000s, the U.S. government, we were in the midst of a war already in Afghanistan, and then our president at the time, George W. Bush, decided we wanted to get into another war. There's multitude of reasons as to why that war that he wanted to get us into with Iraq came about, but one in particular kind of helped push the agenda to get like American people on board, which was he managed to convince a broad majority of the Republican and not really Republican, I take that back, American as a whole, the American population, and specifically the Christian population, that this would be a holy war. Now, that seems a bit extreme. You're like, why? Well, because now we have the benefit of hindsight. Definitely wasn't that. We know the reasons and what weren't the reasons, but at the time, his logic was we're going to go fight this war for God. It's great. Hey, Noah, welcome. There's a seat right up here in the front for you. We're staying in the center row. Either that or you can chill back there with Molly, but no, right in the middle. No. Right there. John Daniel doesn't bite. Hey, guys. All right. So, where was I? Oh, yeah. So, when George Bush was trying to justify this, he convinced, the American population, this is a holy war. We're fighting this for God. And what did he say? Well, he said, I'm driven with a mission from God. And God told me, George, go right there and fight these terrorists in Afghanistan. And I did. And then God told me, go and end the tyranny in Iraq. And I did. That was his justification of saying, like, well, God told me to go to war with this country, which, looking back on it, why would God tell you to do that? That's something that maybe we should have questioned at the time, but we didn't. And what happened? Well, in the results, hundreds of thousands, and some speculate, some like human rights groups and study groups, statistical analysis groups, estimate that close to probably about 1 million civilians died in that conflict as a result of this, for really nothing. It was just a war for the sake of a war. Now, so why am I talking about this? Why am I relitigating like to you guys history? To some me at one point it was a current event, which once again don't feel good about that. Do not. I mean, I guess I'm glad it's still not. It's not going on still. That's one thing. But sorry, I get sidetracked. All right, but why am I going on about this? Well, it's a nice example of our faith, the messianic faith, or the Christian faith, being used to be manipulative and being used to go exactly against what we're supposed to advocate for. Here you had a leader of a country, try to use scripture and try to use God to justify invading a country, despite the fact that what we'll see in scripture and what we'll see is that at no point are you supposed to just wage a war for the sake of waging a war. Now you might be asking, well, Nicholas, I'm not the head of a state. I'm not a politician. Why does this matter to me? That point doesn't necessarily. But what I'm doing is I'm painting a macro scale picture and like, let's look at this justification, and let's try to apply it to our lives. Now, you might not be getting involved in wars, but relationships are like wars. No, they shouldn't be. And that's what I'm going to talk about. Every day is a battle. In our lives, every interaction we have, we're supposed to be looking towards peace with another. We're supposed to be trying to be, peacemakers with our family and our friends, both, in our own relationships and between relationships with others, trying to bridge gaps. Lucy and I fight a lot, and, sometimes we probably shouldn't. And we have Anna between us to be a peacemaker, if you will, sometimes. Not oftentimes. She kind of just, but ideally, like if there was any bit of seriousness to it, it would be something that wouldn't be edifying. And so you shouldn't have relationships that are constantly like, I guess, toxic, where you're constantly trying to be angry towards another. You should be looking towards peaceful resolutions, in every aspect of your life. So that's the runway I have. Bit of a long runway. It's already 10 o'clock. Wow, look at the time go. Dang, I had a whole slide too. In case you aren't wondering, that's what that's just a random photo of the Iraq War. We obviously they got a good old taste of the American, some freedom and justice right there on that building that was probably like someone's house. Yeah, all because God told them to, I guess. So, what is a peacemaker? Well, I did Molly's job for her. I looked up the dictionary definition, or copy pasted it, so she doesn't even really need to waste her time doing that. A person who brings about peace. Wow, look at that. Especially by reconciling adversaries. Reconciling is a fun word. Reconciling is like kind of like make amends. Adversaries, in case you guys don't know what that is, obviously are like people who are opposing each other. Uh-oh, Lucy's breaking stuff out there. Why is that light blinking? Oh no, you made the light blink. Oh well, hopefully everything still stays fine. All right, we'll figure that out later. So that's the dictionary definition, is someone who brings about peace. Wow, what a surprise. A peacemaker, someone makes peace. The spiritual definition, biblical definition, peace in Greek translates this weird word, which is pronounced irene, which can mean a few things. A state of national tranquility, exemption from rage and havoc of war. So, obviously your nation's at peace. Peace between individuals, working to, have a harmonious livings. Peace of Messiah, the kind of state of calmness we have with our faith. Security, safety, prosperity. And then lastly here we have, scrolling down on my notes, the tranquil state of a soul assured of its salvation, which kind of similar to point number 3, peace number 3. So that's what it is to be a peacemaker. So someone who brings about these things, someone who makes these things. Why am I talking about this? Well, why should we be peacemakers? Because we were told to. End of lesson. No. Or rather, we're says we're blessed if we do. We're not necessarily told to be peacemakers exactly in that text. It's kind of like heavily suggested, like, hey, you want to be this one thing, you got to be this other thing. So it's kind of a chicken or the egg situation. We're rather told to, blessed are those who are, and by the blessing, what are you? If you're a peacemaker, you're a son of God. Well, what is a son of God? Any guesses before I just click through the answers? Yeah, someone who follows him. I know Arena knows the answer. She's just being quiet over there in the middle. It can be defined as, someone who reveres God, obeys God, or, just in general, a believer in Messiah. I just did a 360 there for no reason. I can see the screen in front of me. Don't know why I did that. Sons of God, people who revere God, believers. Once again, I don't know why the format is all like squished over. I had one line that looked nice and the other two are like compressed inward. I'd get fired if I turned that in at work for a report or something. I mean, I don't make reports. What would I be doing? Accounting? I don't know. Who does PowerPoints for work presentations? What is a work presentation? Anyways, if I was a person who did work presentations, I'd probably get fired for that. What? No, I don't want you to do that. Thank you, though, Molly. I love the energy. So sons of God do what? I know that's a very open-ended question. And I kind of didn't phrase it right, but I'll just skip to it. Well, sons of God, believers. I'm sticking with all the ladies. Like, I'm not a son. I'm sticking with the vernacular that was given in the verse. We can apply this to all genders, or both genders. Sorry, sons, daughters. I'm just not gonna repeat myself twice. Okay, so to all the women, I'm sorry. I'm excluding daughters because it's harder for me to talk and change the verbiage every single time I want to do it. Children. That's not how it's written. That would be changing the text of the Bible. And that's a sin, Lucy. All right. So they follow the Spirit. Someone, all right. We'll work our way left to right on the back row. Ben, look up for me the verse, Romans 8:14. We are not doing reading accents this week, by the way. Yeah. We did that one week. People try to read in funny accents. I don't like it. All right, read it if you got it. Yeah. So so if we can see, blessed are those who are peacemakers, for they will be sons of God. They're going to be sons of God, and sons of God are led by the Spirit. Are led by the Spirit of God. Then we can say sons of God are Spirit-led. Now, what does being led by the Spirit lead us to? We're going to go through a logical progression. I'm just going to talk at you guys for a second because I realize these questions. Spirit does what? Like that. It does a lot of things. I'm looking for a very specific thing. Not fair to me to leave you guys hanging on that. Well, the Spirit points us towards peace. Simon, if you have a Bible on your phone or in your hand, whatever, analog or digital, I don't care. Go to Galatians 5:22. I feel like I should have like background, like lo-fi background music noise. Well, it's just so empty when people are looking up things. Maybe, yeah. Let's experiment here. You go ahead and read it when you have it. All right. So what fruit? Here's an easy question. What fruit of the Spirit are we looking at in that one thing? What is a fruit of the Spirit that we care about in this particular lesson that we're giving? Peace. Can you say that a little bit more confidence? Thank you. Yeah. So here we have in our building of a logical argument. I sound like such a debate nerd when I say that. In our building of a logical argument, we can see we have the premise and the sub-premise building to these conclusions. I was never a debate person. I was friends with a lot of debate people and was determined to always beat them in debates, so I learned how to talk their lingo. And that did irreparable brain damage to me, I feel like, because you look at things like that, there's like a fancy like little math notation you can do to break down arguments, and I've even done a class on it, and it's not good for it's not good for defeating any allegations. If someone's like a nerd and you're like, but I know how to do logical notation, you're not going to defeat those nerd allegations by like expressing that fact. Just want to point that out. But anyways, so we're building a logical argument here. Sorry, back on track. ADHD. Sorry. Spirit does what? Well, the Spirit points us towards peace, as we see there. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness. So then that means that something that is not pointing us towards peace is not of the Spirit. Would you guys agree with what I'm throwing out there as any objections? You're welcome to object. We can debate right now. I wouldn't do that. But yeah, anything contrary to that is not Spirit-led. Here we got a bunch of verses. By bunch, I mean 3. Who's next? Arena, do you mind pulling up 2 Timothy 2:23 verses 23 through 25, and then Melina, if you want to grab up another Bible, you can over there on the shelf. You can pull up Proverbs 6 verses. I must have mistyped that, because how can you do verses 16 through 10? That's interesting. Proverbs 16 through 19. That's what it should be. Let me. Proverbs 6 verses 16 through 19.
But avoid foolish and ignorant disputes, knowing that they produce quarrels. The Lord's slave must not be quarrelsome, but be kind to all, able to teach others. Let him demonstrate those who are in position. Perhaps God may grant them a change of mind, even for knowledge.
So, what must a servant of the Lord not be? And if someone is quarrelsome, are they being peaceful? Can we get a little bit more enthusiasm on that? I feel like that was a softball question. Thank you, Jess. All right. Let me know if you guys want me to go faster. Melina, can you read your verse? Your answer. Read your answer.
Yes, 7 are abominations to me. Haughty eyes, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that plots wicked schemes, feet that run to evil, a false witness who spouts lies, and one who stirs among brothers.
Yeah, my translation here, and one who sows discord among brothers. So discord, not the app. Discord refers to, this, conflict. If you're sowing discord, that means that you're like going over here and you're like, hey, John Daniel, you hear what Noah said about you last week? Noah said he doesn't like your gray shoes. That would be like sowing discord. Noah didn't say that. I just like made up a complete lie just to get you guys fighting. Or like, Noah, people have been talking about how you've been getting here late. Those people, like Arena had words. She's like, it's so disrespectful. Like that'd just be me stirring up a fight, causing nonsense. And what are you supposed to? How does the Lord feel about people? Let's dissect this verse a little, just a hair. How does the Lord feel about people who sow discord in that sense? Open answer. Say what? Yeah, can't tolerate. The Lord hates it. They're an abomination to him. Lastly, I'm sorry, I do not have your name. Adeline. Yes, sorry. Romans 16:17. Oh, let me put it up there on the verse. Aha. There's plenty of verses. Don't worry, Ben.
I urge you, brothers and sisters, to watch out for those who cause divisions and put obstacles in your way that are contrary to the teaching you.
Yeah. So, we're supposed to avoid people who cause divisions. And then he groups that in and then finishes it by saying it's contrary to the doctrine that you have been taught. So causing divisions, obviously not a part of a godly message. Now, I'm going on about this. That's the last verse we have to say about that. But what am I trying to say here? Well, obviously we have commands to be peacemakers, to be people who are like unifiers in our relationships as far as, you know, we go inside of a congregation, there's the how can two walk together lest they be in agreement. It's a whole big part of the membership process is talking about lest they be in agreement. So it's a very popular verse. But that idea is, you have to be unified. All throughout the apostles' writings is having unity, not quarreling over small issues, not getting caught down in petty bickerings, but having, wholesome, united relationships with each other. Otherwise, if you have these divisions, then you start to crack, you start to breed resentment. And obviously, anyone who's stirring up those divisions, who's causing, like aiding the cracks in them, is not contributing to the well-being of your walk, to others people's walk. So we move on. That's the same slide. That's the exact same slide. Why did it copy? There we are. So here we're getting close to the end. So we have the practical reality of the situation. So what are we supposed to do with this? Well, be a peacemaker between you and those in your life. All right. And we have one verse, or we have a couple of verses. For some reason, I knew you might have been Colin, but I was too scared. I'm like, is Colin the older one? Yeah. Okay. Romans 12:18. Sorry, it's not up on the screen. This was one of, oh, do I have it? There we go. That's the last slide, by the way. Didn't get any further than this. But Romans 12:18. Let's see. How does the instrumental lo-fi music fit with the class?
If it is possible, as far as it depends on you.
Hang on. Sorry, 1 second. Molly, what were you saying?
So you have point one and then another.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead. Sorry, Colin.
If it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone.
Yep. So, good job. If that possible, yeah, live at peace with everyone. Are there some people we shouldn't live at peace with? And like, really don't like. I could eliminate like half the people in this room if I really don't like people who wear black. Like all of a sudden, I'm at odds with 4 people. I like using these literally small, stupid examples, like to have beef with the people over. But so supposed to live at peace with everyone. That verse, why I threw that in particular? Well, when I was close to around your age, a mere 7 years ago, maybe. That verse really stuck out with me. As I mentioned earlier, I touched on, I really liked debate as a teen growing up. More importantly than liking debate, I really liked being right and better than the people who like debate. And so, what did that lead me to? Well, let me be a very contentious personality. Like contrarian for the sake of contrarian. I still have those tendencies. Like I'll defend something absolutely stupid just for the sake of being different from everyone else. Like if you ever like, I think this room is painted blue. I'm like, actually, it's black, and there's no way I can prove it's black, but I will defend that it's a black painted room till my dying breath. It's a bad trait, terrible trait. But on a more serious level, what those traits cause is resentment between people. Growing up, Lucy's older sister, also very contentious. We used to have to work together in this youth doing various things. And the problem is when we have 2 very contentious people together, does not equate to a good time for the group. There was not, because we were so obsessed with one person being right, no one really wanting to mediate the situation. It was a contentious working situation, which seems really silly looking back on it. But part of growing and maturing in your faith is to realize you can't get caught up on these petty little things. You have to be looking to make amends with someone. If someone offends you, the mature thing to do is air out your grievances with them. Look to make amends. you can only do your best, and if you can, do your best to try and make amends, and if they don't do it, well, then you just have to still be a good witness to them. Someone want to read Hebrews 12:14? Noah. We're working our way down to John Daniel here. And then we'll get Molly in the back. There we go. We got background ambience now. Read it whenever you get a chance. Hebrews 12:14.
Pursue shalom with everyone and the holiness without which no one will see the Lord.
Great. Yeah. Strive for peace with everyone and for the holiness without which no one will see the Lord. Just reiterating what we read with that first verse, which is aim to be peaceful with everyone, even if someone's not very nice. My wife Anna, she's got her work situation not the best, but she aims every day to go in to be a peaceful person, a pleasant person to work with. Because even though you might not enjoy your job or you might not enjoy what you're doing in school, you can still have a positive impact and be a good testimony for the people around you. You can still make sure that you are showing the work of the Lord in you by, being a peaceful person, being someone who's pleasant to work with. There's a lot of stuff I don't enjoy at my job that I still like. I will not be a difficult person about this. I might not enjoy doing it, but I will not give, another person a hard time over it. And then secondly, I don't know why I hit forward on the arrow. I'm out of slides. Next, well, how do you be a peacemaker with others? Well, one step is forgive. John Daniel, can you turn to Ephesians 4:32? And then Molly, out there in the back, can you turn to Mark 11:25? And then I'll speed through the last couple of points and we'll wrap up here. Read it whenever you have it, John Daniel.
Instead, be kind to each other, tender-hearted, and forgive each other, just as in the Messiah God has also forgiven you.
All right, thank you. Molly, do you have yours? Go ahead.
And when you stand praying, if you hold anything against anyone, forgive them so that your Father in heaven may forgive you.
All right, and then a couple more verses. Colossians 3:13, bearing with one another, if one has a complaint against another, forgiving each other as the Lord has forgiven you, so you must also forgive. And then Matthew 5:38, you have heard that it was said, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. But I say to you, do not resist the one who is evil. But if anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to him the other also. And lastly, 1 Peter 3:9, do not repay evil for evil, but on the contrary, bless for those you were called, that you may obtain a blessing. So being a peacemaker, you'll often hear like, oh, you got to stand up for yourself. You got to fight back. There's not a lot of situations. I mean, in a physical sense, like someone's coming at you with a knife, I would say try not to die in that scenario. That's good life advice. But like we're talking with words, a lot of times, oh, he came at me first, so I got to hurt them because they hurt me back. Whether that's with, words, emotional violence. Violence breeds violence. Abuse continues to breed abuse. At some point, you have to put an end to the cycle. And, you'll see that that's something you hear a lot of times when people talk about generational abuse. Like, you got to be the stop to the cycle. And likewise, in your personal relationships, if you're in a back and forth with someone constantly over something, you have to be the one to be like, I forgive you. And whether they forgive you back doesn't matter. You have to forgive them because ultimately, Messiah forgave them. If they're not forgiving back to you, well, keep your distance. Be peaceful to them, but you don't have to keep associating with that and keep being in a unpeaceful relationship with them. Lastly, and then advocate. So that's with your personal life, and then other wise, advocate for peace for others, for those who can't, advocate for themselves. Mark 9:50, salt is good, but if the salt has lost its saltiness, how will you make it salty again? Have salt in yourselves and be at peace with one another. So that's referring to being salt and light to the world, being a good testimony. We're called to be salt and light to the world, to be the testimonies of Messiah. And that includes advocating for peace for those who can't advocate for themselves, to fight for people who do not have, fight for the peace of people who don't have that ability. Great example is the 1960s during the Civil Rights Movement. Obviously, you had African Americans who could not fight to defend their own rights, to support their own rights, and they would need people who did have those rights to stand up for them. And a large reason as to why slavery ended in this country, why civil rights passed, is because of faithful Christians and believers who fought for those people who could not fight for themselves. So, in conclusion, where are we? Well, blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called sons of God. Believers are called to be peacemakers and strive for peace. The Spirit leads us to peace. If anything does not lead us to peace, it is not led by the Spirit. Forgive as you have been forgiven, and be salt and light, and advocate for those who can't advocate for themselves. If someone's out here being like, hey, let's use the extreme example. Let's bomb Tokyo. What are they doing? And then they're like, God told me to bomb Tokyo. You'd have to be like, I don't think God would say that. Why? Well, why would God advocate for just, millions of people dying for the whims of someone else? That's an extreme example. Likewise, well, God told me I need to be rude to this person. I don't think he did. If it's not edifying, it's not peaceful, it's not going to be a godly thing for you to do. That's all. Any questions? Awesome. Lucy, why don't you close us out?
Father God, thank you for this lesson. Thank you for Nicholas who is able to teach us, and please help our rest of our Shabbat to go well. Amen.
Amen. All right, you are dismissed. Thank you for joining us, all the new people. Remember, Hanukkah Havarot, not up there. Hanukkah Havarot, December 2nd. We will have food. We will have prizes, potentially. We will have trivia. I think we got to leave it for lessons now. I got that. Did you end the stream by chance?
You didn't tell me about that button. Do we have any viewers?
I don't think it went through because I think you hit something. It was on the fade to black the whole time.